I'm Julian Rayner. I'm a scientist at the Sanger Institute, and I also am director of the Conferences, Courses and Public Engagement program on the Genome campus. I think that science is fundamentally about connections. Interactions between all sorts of molecules, cells and people is at the very heart of the scientific endeavour. The Conference Centre was redeveloped as part of a much bigger vision and much bigger program. And that vision is really about establishing the campus as a central hub for sharing and understanding genomics and biodata. The designer Siggy Knapp came up with the original concept of using the origins of the kitchen garden, the fruit trees that would have grown there, as part of the design for this space. And that's where then the idea of phylogenetic trees came in, because as a scientist, when I think of trees, I don't think of fruit trees, I think of phylogenetic trees. Phylogenetic trees are essentially a way to graphically represent connections between things, and those things could be cells, they could be organisms, they could be species. And so that was the genesis of those two things coming together. The artist Alistair Macaulay, who works at Timor Species, had always been a part of the project. I thought they were perfect for the space. You can see that fascination with organisms and animals and insects and the level of detail that goes into those drawings. I was really looking forward to going to Glasgow to visit the Timor Species studio and to meet Alistair. I really didn't know what to expect. I thought it's probably a very busy space filled with the output of the incredibly creative mind that Alistair has.
How the hell are you? Good to see you. Come in to the studio. When I first met Julian and he introduced me to the ideas that they had behind this project, he was showing me all these very scientific diagrams, illustrations of trees of life and insect trees and cell trees. But they also had this Victorian representation of it, early illustrations of sort of Darwin, etc. They wanted the scientific, the very kind of hard fact of it all, but they also wanted this kind of inventive, illustrative look to it. And my little bit was to kind of create some kind of web that joined these two ideas together. When we started off drawing all the icons that we had to use in the project, you were going from things that you would ordinarily have drawn, like insects and birds and mice, etc., to then drawing heart muscles, various types of blood cells, bone cells, things that aren't ordinarily beautiful. For example, E. coli, doesn't really fulfill much in terms of, a beautiful thing. But it really is, when you look at these things close up. So making that kind of challenged image look lovely is what we try to do.
I'm Andy Schubert and I'm the Business Development Manager for Ashton Lacey Perforators. The job was very challenging right from the start, and I think the initial challenge was trying to capture the character of the drawing and convert that into a perforated image. There's so many holes and so much data in the image that our software that we use for our standard everyday work fell over. So we had to really redesign our software to enable us to actually just process the image. Very simply, you have a punch which cuts the material and pushes the burr, which is the hole if you like, through the material and away. The larger panels, the bulk of the panels, have about 48,000 holes in each one, and I think we calculated that there's about 10 million to 11 million holes across the screen. We need to keep the panels as flat as possible, so when they're rolled afterwards, the panels are nice and even and regular in shape.
There were multiple times during the project that I feared that it wouldn't work. The sketches on paper looked beautiful, but how would they look when they were translated into a series of metal panels with holes punched in them? When I saw the Tree of Life in place for the first time, I think the overriding feeling was actually one of relief, that it really looked as inspirational and wonderful and beautiful as we had all hoped it would. The Tree of Life reminds people of the fundamental connectedness of biology, how we connect as species with the greater world, and the fact that genomes and gene sequences underpin all of that connectedness. These trees represent that fundamental truth about the world.